Hi, this is Pete May, co-founder of GreenBiz, and I'm excited to be here today on studio with Al Subbloie, who's the CEO of Budderfly. And Al, do you have another member of the team with you today, or are you solo?
I do, Pete. I happen to have Duke here to join us. He's
Great.
well educated in the energy space, and I think he can contribute very well to the content.
Excellent. Well, great to have you both. We're a dog-friendly place here at GreenBiz, so excited to have him on there. In all seriousness, Budderfly is an emerging player in the energy service space. Talk to us a little bit about your background, how you got into this, and how'd you get on the name Budderfly with D's?
Pete, I have a very strong naming philosophy, and especially building tech-enabled firms, which we are. I believe it needs to be one word, 3 syllables or less. And most important, I want to be able to buy the URL, because I believe the name ought to be the URL, for $35 or less. So that's a rule. And that's why there's a spelling issue in the name. But obviously, it represents, and when you think about butterflies in general, wonderful creatures aligned with the environment and what we're doing to the world. We're pretty excited about that.
That's great. So let me ask about two questions. One about the market. So, energy efficiency obviously has been around, and ESCOs have been around for a long time. And we always think of, in some ways, energy efficiency is always seen as kind of the eat your vegetables side of things. It's very good to do, but sometimes lacks the sex appeal of other areas. So tell us a little bit about the service, and then meld that with one of the things I think is really interesting about what you're doing. We've seen a lot of activity in the energy and energy efficiency space with Fortune 1000 companies, but there's a long tail of the mid-market, which is retailers and REITs and hospitals and schools that maybe don't have the resources to get to. Tell us a little bit about your value proposition relative to that long tail of the middle market.
So a couple of answers. First of all, and I'll try to be brief. For some reason, the energy market, at least the community that's trying to solve this problem, goes after it in what I call a silo manner, which means everybody tries to solve one thing, and there's probably 50 things you can do. So we appear to be the only company that decided to attack it in a portfolio strategy, where we take over the whole thing and we're bringing an optimized outcome to the customer, and they don't have to lift a finger.
So all things energy efficiency, and
all things energy that could involve HVAC and lighting and controls and demand management, and the list goes on. Whereas everyone seems to sell things one at a time in this space, which puts the burden on the customer, which is quite difficult. The second item, maybe related or unrelated, is we found a very special market that I think has been ignored, which surprises me. The small, medium-sized business market driven by things like restaurants, fast food restaurants, casual dining. They use a tremendous amount of energy. So while they may be small, there's a lot of them, and they use 10 times as much energy. Probably, if you add it up, you could summarize it to almost 10% of the entire energy use in this country on the commercial side are these small and medium-sized businesses. So, the ESCOs have not focused on that market because everyone around them is small. We're really just doing a great job penetrating that space, because we could go do 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 locations, and then they'll act the same when we get to 5,000 locations, which obviously has a big impact on energy reduction.
That's really great. So in closing, talk to us a little bit about the potential. So if you get this right, let's say, with companies like yourself that start addressing the mid-market, offering energy efficiency and energy service options to this mid-tier of companies, it's kind of been unserved. In the grand scheme of things, as we look at scale and addressing climate change and really energy at scale, what kind of impact can it have going forward if you properly address this mid-market?
I love the question and the way of thinking. Let me give you the rough math. The commercial space in the United States is about $150 billion a year. if you take the mid-market portion of that, it's probably roughly a third of that overall use is in the mid-market across the board. If we pull a third of that third out, we would probably have an impact of, call it, somewhere between 10 and 20% of the entire use of energy we can pull out from a carbon perspective, which is more than the amount of renewables, if you think about it, that's been penetrated to date in the North American market.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. So much potential. And I love the idea of addressing this side of the market that really, I think, has been patently underserved over the last few years. So Al Subbloie, the CEO and president of Budderfly, and also I think he's gone now, but Duke, your team dog for Budderfly. Duke. Thank you both for attending and joining us today on GreenBiz Studio.
Thank you, Pete. Topic's great, and there's a lot of work to do, but we're going to have a big impact on the world.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you.